If you want to make amigurumi like this, or even this, here are the 5 stitches you need to know for amigurumi. Hey guys, it's Katie from Yarn Society, and today we're going to talk about the 5 stitches that you need to know for amigurumi. Now there are more than 5 stitches, but these are the ones that will help you get started. If you want to do this along with me, go ahead and grab some yarn. I just grabbed a thicker yarn so you can see a bit better. I have an H hook, some scissors, a yarn needle, and a stitch marker. The first stitch we're going to learn is a magic circle. In amigurumi, most of the patterns that you will see will say to start with a magic circle. There are a million ways to do it, and today we're going to try to do the easiest way that I can teach you for a magic circle, and it starts with a slip knot and it has chains. So if you've never made a slip knot or chains before, I'm just going to go slow. Also, you can slow down the video even more. If you look in the description box, I'll tell you how you can slow it down. If you are just beginning and you need to know how to hold your hook and yarn, I have a separate video for that and I will link that down below. To get started with a slip knot, leave a long tail. You're going to wrap the yarn around the 2 fingers and you're going to crisscross it at the side. You're going to pull that piece up top and then you'll hold the tail with your ring finger. You're going to push that back piece underneath to the front and then you're just going to pull up on that piece of yarn. This will make your slip knot because it's going to close up onto this knot and you will be left with a loop. So just pull this down. You can use that little tail that you left to make your hole smaller, and then you can even pull on your loop to make it bigger. You're going to want to insert your hook into that loop and then just tighten it up around your hook. Get set up with your yarn. You can watch that video if you need to. I like to take my thumb and my middle finger and hold that end of the knot, of the slip knot. We are going to chain 1. We're going to take our hook, we're going to loop it around, and we're going to pull it through. That is 1 chain. It looks like a little V stitch. You're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through again and you'll make your second V stitch. We want to work in that second V from the hook. So there's 1 V right next to your hook and then this is your second stitch from the hook. Now that you've completed your slip knot and your 2 chains, we are going to do 6 single crochet into a magic circle, and this is how you complete that magic circle. We are actually going to learn our next stitch, which is a single crochet. In order to make this a magic circle, we are going to work underneath that top loop of that second stitch. So place your hook underneath that loop. That's your second stitch from the hook. You are going to yarn over, pull your yarn through. We are going to have 2 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through again, and that is your first single crochet. This also looks like a V stitch, and that is your first single crochet. You're going to go back into that same stitch and it looks a little tight, but you're just going to place your hook back underneath that same stitch. You're going to yarn over with your hook. You're going to pull it through. You're going to have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over again and pull that through, and that is your second single crochet. You're going to place your hook into that same stitch again, yarn over, pull it through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through. That's your third V stitch, your third single crochet. Your hole is going to get bigger, so a little easier. Go ahead and go back to your hole, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through. This is your 4th single crochet. You have 4 V stitches and we're going for 6. Go through that hole again, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through. That is your 5th single crochet. We're going to make 1 more. Place that hook back through the hole, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through. And that is 6 single crochet into a magic circle. Here is our first V, our second, our third, our fourth, our 5th, and our 6th. When you start out with a slip knot, you'll always have this little bit here. Don't get confused by that. You're going to completely ignore it. In order to close this up, you take that tail in your 2 fingers and you pull up to tighten that piece of yarn. From here, I like to grab a stitch marker because the stitch marker helps us keep track of our stitches. I will place that stitch marker in the last stitch of my round, and you will learn that some people also place it in the first stitch of the next round. Now for amigurumi, you already learned a single crochet. Most likely in a pattern, you would do a single crochet increase in round 2 unless otherwise stated. A single crochet increase means adding 2 single crochet into the same stitch. We increase by adding 2 stitches into 1 stitch. Here is our first stitch of round 2. This is our first V stitch. We'd work into this one first, then we'd go into this one second, and so on. To make our first increase, we're going to place our hook under both loops. We have a front loop and a back loop. We're going to get our hook underneath both of those loops. We're going to single crochet by yarning over, pulling through. We'll have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through, and that is our single crochet 1. We're going to place our hook back under the same stitch that we did the first single crochet in. Yarn over, pull through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through. We have 2 V-stitches and that's into 1 stitch, so that is our first increase. We're going to move over to our second stitch. We're going to make 1 single crochet by yarning over again, going back through the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through. That is our second increase. I'm just going to fast forward this a bit because I just want to show you how we're going to change our stitch marker. On your last increase, you're going to be working into the stitch with your stitch marker. This is how you know when to end. You'll be working into the last stitch. So here is our first single crochet, back into the same stitch, our second single crochet. You'd want to close up your magic circle one more time, so you would just pull on that tail again. And then you would want to change your stitch marker into the last stitch that you made. So this is your last stitch of round 2. So you'll always end your crocheting into that stitch with the stitch marker. Another very important stitch you need to know for amigurumi is a decrease, and we like to do something called an invisible decrease for amigurumi. What you would do is you would work 2 stitches into 1, and that's how this would help you decrease your stitches. We're going to go slow because this can be a little bit tricky, but get set up with your yarn. You're going to place your hook underneath the front loop of that next stitch. You're going to go under just that front loop only, the one facing you. So here is a front loop, and then the back loop is the one away from you. Underneath the front loop of the first stitch, you're going to take your hook, and it feels awkward, but you're going to go directly under the front loop of the next stitch. So just get that underneath there. You'll have 3 loops at this point. You're going to yarn over and pull that yarn through 2 loops. You'll have 2 loops on the hook left. You're going to yarn over and pull through, and that is your first invisible decrease. So you have grabbed 2 stitches and made it into 1. We're going to do that again. The one trick you want to know about the invisible decrease is you want your yarn to stay up next to your hook. You don't want it to get loose as you move on to the next decrease, because that will cause holes in your crochet. We are going to make 2 stitches into 1 more time, so we're going to take these 2 stitches, and if you are unsure of which stitch to work into, if you pull up on your last stitch, you will see that it is taken because the stitch will start to pull up with it. So moving over to that next stitch, we are going to put our hook underneath the front loop of the first stitch, then directly underneath the front loop of the next. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops. You'll have 2 loops left on the hook. Yarn over and pull through. So that is your second decrease. This is something that you'll definitely need to know and get comfortable with. The 5th thing we want to know for amigurumi is how to fasten off our work. So we just finished our last stitch of our rounds. We are going to leave a long piece of yarn. To fasten off, you want to yarn over, pull that yarn all the way through, and then give that a little bit of a tug at the end, and this keeps your yarn secure. Fastening off is really easy. Here's a little bonus 6th technique you need to know. When you finish with amigurumi, like something like a head, you will have this little hole. So in order to close up the hole, I'm going to show you here. We want to count our stitches, and I like to count backwards, so this little bit is my fastened off. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Sometimes your last stitch, which is your first stitch, is a little hidden, so that's why I like to count backwards. I'm going to grab my yarn needle and I am going to insert my yarn into that needle. We want to close up this hole, so this is a good technique to know. I'm going to place my yarn needle in between that stitch, so you're going to go right behind that front loop. You're going to pull your yarn needle through, and then you're going to turn your work a little so that stitch is right in front of you, and go behind that second stitch, pull through. Turn your work, go to the 3rd stitch, go behind the front loop of the 4th, the 5th, and your 6th and final stitch. Pull that all the way through. Now you want to grab your 2 fingers and start to close up this piece. When you are closing, you want to watch that circle close because you want to know where it is. We need to insert our needle into there. Now, if you are like, I don't know where that is, just start placing your needle in that area and it will start to open up a little bit. Once you find your hole, insert your yarn needle and pull tight. Don't pull so tight that you break your yarn. Just pull tight so that you can close up that hole. And that helps you to have a nice finish on your amigurumi. I hope you guys liked this video and I hope it was helpful in some sort of way. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel for more crochet tutorials and crochet alongs, and I'll see you guys soon.